Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another scene for the living world of darkness, rage across New York, where 10 Point has spent the better part of the day following around Great White Mouse as she kind of comically rampages through Sept. And having spotted one of the cubs previously, has gone on the look for him. And I found him in a slightly altered state to when she saw him last, and has probably given a quiet word to Chloe, just so she knows what's up, and will be at this point approaching said currently slightly physically altered cub, with voice before with any sort of physical contact. So from Jason's point of view, it will simply be well, let's be fair, the slight jingle of bells because she has them bound to her antlers, so it's generally just easy to tell when she's around. But more importantly, eventually the comment, "You've been better, I see."
And he kind of perks up slightly at the bells and has an odd smile on his face because the image of it reminds him of reindeer, which it's December. But at her comment, he actually grins, kind of shrugs. "I've been worse."
I'll believe it. Has the Den Father strictly... I assume this was the Den Father, yes?
"You're a very perceptive woman, 10-Point Rat."
It gets the sarcasm earns a faint grin. Has the Den Father specifically told you that it is not to be healed, Henri?
Not that I heard. However, I feel like I earned this one. And I think I'd like to keep it until tomorrow.
The eyebrows pop up a bit. Not that he can see it. As you wish. And she'll shoot through a this lovely first person view of what she's encountering, since Aiden has expressed interest in the past, just so he's up to date on the current state of this here pupper.
There's an audible like fuck, as he's walking,
And Jason kind of shrugs, and I'd rather not find out the hard way that if I get them healed too soon, he'll take them out again. So there's that.
To a certain point, especially as one gains in rank, there are certain things that need be said. One can't exactly cripple another guru without specifying if they wish it to remain that way. It is in fact very normal to specify. But if you wish to keep it...
I am told they will grow back tomorrow.
And while he can't see her nod, he can hear the slightly louder jingle as she kind of pauses for a moment and confirms audibly, "Yes, we do heal quickly. It would go faster if you were in another shape. You would need to pass the gauntlet."
I'm not very good at that yet.
It is easier here than anywhere else.
He mentioned that. The Weaver spirits thicken it elsewhere?
Yes. Places more attuned to Gaia. There are fewer of them maintaining the gauntlet and thickening it and hardening it against our passage.
And he nods. To what do I owe the honor of your presence, Raya?
I had thought perhaps I should make a point of informing you who I was in the company of earlier. The little spirit, the very energetic one.
I did see her, yes.
That would be a manifestation of Great White Mouse, who is our septotem.
Less, mousy than I would have expected.
She is able to manifest in multiple different ways. This is one of her preferred ones. And the pats on the head are because, to be honest, so long as you are a member of the sept, you are one of her children.
I have a surprising amount of mothers here. It's interesting.
Startles another grin out of her, not that he'll catch it.
Kind of reaches up and rubs at his temple and then squints his slightly mangled eyelids and frowns.
Only slightly mangled. Ugh.
He does not look to be nearly as upset about it as he probably ought to be.
That's fine. And 10 Point will kind of flick an inquisitive thought into the link because, I mean, she's, I assume, aware that Aiden is en route.
Yep. He probably arrives after about 2 minutes, I would say. He'll be walking with some purpose, as 10 Point knows. Today has been a hell of a day. So he's kind of moving quickly while on his phone at the same time. And then he'll stuff the phone in his pocket and will walk up and just kind of raise his eyebrow at the call bad 10 Point.
And the couple, at the very least, hear Raya, and again, a series of motions, a faint jingle. She did something. It was probably respectful.
Probably. Jason kind of picks his head up and nods in the vague direction of the footsteps.
He'll raise an eyebrow looking at him. He really cut out your eyes, did he?
He did warn me he was going to do it.
Why did he do that?
Didn't like me looking at him.
He didn't like you looked at him in the eye, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty stupid. He'll lean back and look over at 10 Point, shaking his head.
And he kind of tilts his head. And it makes a couple crunching noises. It was worth it. He deserved it.
Why did he deserve it?
And he looks like he's about to answer and then kind of pauses. And reconsiders his words. He relayed an earlier intention to set a trial for cubs, of which I do not approve.
Why don't you approve?
Because I think it violates the litany.
How so?
If all things are of Gaia, as I am told, then killing innocents is wrong.
Killing innocent. And what is innocent?
That was his word, not mine. And I should probably stop talking because he's probably watching me again.
There's no shame in him watching you learn and grow.
10 Point does flick a pointed glance around to see if that telltale raven is nearby, and will, for Aiden's sake, most specifically, we'll offer it a nod when she does spot it, seeing as she can see which one has an Umbrella Echo.
If he wants to see you learn and grow, then he's going to see that. So why do you think he violates the litany by killing innocents? And what is innocent in this world?
His word, not mine.
Then what word would you use?
In this case, probably the same one. Someone that's not involved and hasn't done anything wrong.
Humans, I assume.
Of course.
There's a glance exchanged.
He'll not kneel down. You see, Lupus have a very different ideal to some Mohammeds. Some of them believe in the older ways. The time of great turmoil, which caused a lot of the problems that there are now today.
The Impergium.
Yeah.
Brought that up.
They say the Impergium did things to the Triad, drove the Weaver mad.
He said that he would leave the explaining of it to a Galliard.
Of course he did. Of course he did. Let me just put it this way. Death begets more death. And chaos makes more chaos. That's the simple version. But he has a point. What is innocent in this world? Because just because you can't see the worm, just because you don't feel that taint, doesn't mean that it doesn't serve it.
That was a different discussion.
How many men have you killed?
I don't know.
You don't know or you can't remember?
Both.
Not. And how do you feel knowing that about yourself?
Most of them, fine. Couple of them, not so much.
And that weight you feel, do you think you can carry it?
I don't think I have much choice.
Well, you do. In a way, you do. You could just lie here day after day, not do anything. Let that guilt wash over you.
Sitting here on my ass just gets more people killed.
It does.
And that doesn't make it better. I'm not going to claim that I like everything that's happened in the past few weeks, but it does sometimes seem like a way to make a difference again.
I'm not. So apart from having your eyes gouged out, How else have you taken to the studies of Bites the Weak and Chloe?
For the most part, they're fascinating. It's a lot to learn. I understand his methods, even if maybe they wouldn't be mine in the same position.
And this place?
The Sept?
Yeah. The people you've seen.
I don't know. It's difficult to say that I appreciate a place as full of sadness as this one. Not that I'm exactly helping with that, I suppose.
Nod. And your cub brothers. What do you make of them?
I barely know them. I'm working on it, but Desmond is determined, certainly dedicated to our cause. Nikolai, got no idea, not yet.
You look around again, light a cigarette. You can probably hear him doing it as well with the lighter. And the deaths that have recently happened. Felix tense up, but 10 point visibly see it. Jason can hear it in his voice. Talatahine, what do you make of them?
I think that's a pretty heavy question for people I barely knew.
A heavy question that you're going to be asked either way.
I wasn't there. I will say that as upset as people are, no one seems surprised.
Death comes for us all, one way or another.
Sooner rather than later, I hear.
They like to tell you won't live to see 30. They always like to say that, the hardened ones. By the end, you just shrug. Comes when it comes. It's just a matter of time. The question is how you face it. Some people will cry and hate themselves, or other people will just accept what it is. And it'll hurt and it'll sting, but you carry on with it.
Oh, probably a little bit of both.
You shrug. I've seen all types. You'll study him again. And what about you?
What about me?
How are you carrying it?
Bent but not broken, I suppose.
He'll nod. He had seen you drinking a lot.
Yep. Always have.
You look over at 10 Point, raising an eyebrow.
Just looks back, offers a faint shrug. All in all, as far as she can clue into it anyways, Jason has adapted almost distressingly well. She'll perhaps kind of hint as much via Link.
Aiden will look down. And that vengeance you feel, how's that doing?
Currently undirected.
Yeah, it always does start out like that. It's like it's burning inside you.
Forgive me asking, Raya, but did this particular line of questioning have a direction it was going?
Well, I was wondering, because when I was a cub like you, I had the same problem, and I just couldn't find the thing I wanted. Now, I might know about something that can give you what you want. But I'm wondering how you are managing, because if you're like a loaded gun, I don't want to set you off.
I am suspicious of that kind of gift, but would be interested to hear what you had to say. Raya.
I'd help her. Templin actually looks a little amused with his answer.
Aiden will smirk slightly. Clever. I like it. We've dug into some hospital records, and your husband's name came up. I was wondering, well, A, what can you tell me about him? And B, do you want to come along to make sure that you get what you want? With your Denmark's parents' permission, of course, but...
I can tell you that he shouldn't be in a hospital, unless it's the morgue.
This was before he died, by the looks of things.
When?
We'll look over at 10 Point. Through the link. When?
10 Point's player has not been given that information yet.
Yeah, damn it.
Presume that they provide a date, but it would certainly have been before.
It would have been in the week that Richard was missing.
Yeah. Probably
Okay.
for the week that he was missing, I imagine.
I would appreciate being a part of this, yes.
Now the question I'm going to ask you again, and this is really important, because like you, I know what it's like to want the one thing you want, and you'll do anything to get it. Hell, he'll reach into his little bag that he has, and he'll pull out a human skull.
Can't
It's
see
very-
anything, sadly.
Can't see Dick.
Yeah.
Jason just kind of looks at him with this expression on his face.
He'll still
Point
put it
knows.
down. Yeah. And he'll say, and you'll hear a drumming, what sounds to be bone. This is the man who killed my father. I know you can't see anything, but it's his skull. I traveled halfway across the Atlantic to get to him. I killed him. I found out some things. Look up the skull, look at it, and look over at Jason. How bad do you want this?
Grisly trophies to carry around with me? Not particularly.
No, nothing like that.
A sense of peace? Rather badly.
Do you think it'll find you peace?
Sitting on my ass hasn't.
That's not the question. Do you think getting your vengeance will give you peace?
I don't know that anything will. I am told that it doesn't exist.
It does, but it's very fleeting. It depends on you. If you want in, I'll give you an in. I'll make sure you get what you want. But when we're going on that, you have to obey. Now, I know that's hard.
What else is new?
All I'm saying is I won't put a hand on your shoulder telling you to stop no matter what you do to that person. Unlike some people that you and I both know will.
I don't need to go for me. But I would like to go for Richard and for what was done to him.
He'll smile to himself and we'll look over at 10 point and true link. You say, I didn't want to go. I only went for my father. It just this is funny that, and he'll look over. I know. You honor those you lost.
He nods.
Just remember, when everyone asks you to stop, just remember who gave you the opportunity first. That's all I ask. Because most people don't like people who do what they want to do and get what they want. Aren't afraid of the consequences afterwards when they know it's right. Most people are afraid of that. Don't be.
I'm given to understand that my job as a Philodox is to do what is right, regardless of the consequences. And to attempt to ensure that others do as well.
So, here's my next question. Say, Colin stands in the way of you getting what you want. What will you do? Say he tries to redeem the man who murdered your husband.
We would have a long talk.
A talk. What happens? Say, for example, a personal experience. Someone tried to take it away from you.
Jason kind of sighs and just leans back. He's sitting on the ground with his arms on his knees and leans back, rests on his hands. Look, you can make up all of the hypothetical situations you want and you can ask me about them and I won't have an answer, not the real answer, because you don't know. You don't know until it happens. Oh, can you kill a man? I don't know. Except now I do because I've done it. Can you pick up giant rocks and pull them off of children? I don't know. Well, yes, I do know because I've done it. Can I shoot children? No. I couldn't. No one knows what they can and can't and will and won't do until it happens.
You want to know the horrible truth that I'm going to tell you that they're not going to tell you? 10 Point won't tell you. Bites the Week won't tell you. Chloe won't tell you. Colin won't tell you. Do you want to know the horrible truth of that statement?
Sure, why not?
By the time you walk into that place, you'd have already made up your mind what you're going to do. Everything else is just foreplay.
There's a difference between conscious choices and unconscious ones.
And there's a difference between accepting what's going to happen and shying away from it, and putting it to, I don't know what's going to happen. It's all in the passion, I suppose.
I know what I will do. I don't know what everyone else will do.
And that's one thing you gotta learn, Cub. Watch everybody. See, when I got my vengeance, I picked the people who would never interfere with me. You point even though he knows Jason can't see, and you say, her. She wouldn't interfere with me. My pack wouldn't interfere with me. I chose how I was going to do it because I planned it. Because I knew people would react a certain way because they couldn't tell how they react. If you want your vengeance, you be smart and you take it, but you choose how you take it. You don't just leave it a chance.
It seems sound advice.
I don't mean to be harsh. It's just when you lose a lot, you have a very blunt way of looking at the world.
He just shrugs.
Don't look at Bites the Week in the eye again. It's my advice as well. And don't smile at him, showing your teeth.
I knew it was going to happen eventually.
Still, there are fights you can pick and fights you can't, even as a Philodox.
I know. That's why I didn't fight back.
Could be worse. Getting your tongue ripped out is not a fun one. That hurts like a bitch.
Well, so does the eyes, turns out. A lot of nerve endings there.
You just nod and look over at 10 Point. It seems fairly satisfied. We'll talk again if you want. You know where to find me.
I suspect it will happen sooner rather than later.
It's up to yourself.
I'll probably wait until my eyes grow back.
Probably be a good idea. I don't want Chloe giving out to me that you've walked into a tree or fallen in the lake. And what tribe are you going to pick? As he says, he's standing up.
I don't know.
Do you have any ideas?
I haven't met everyone yet.
You know, that is the first good answer I've heard out of the Cubs that I've seen in the Sept in a long time. It seems fairly satisfied. I'm going to turn and look at 10 Point. You can stay if you want. I'm going. You start walking off.
She just offers him a nod, and while you can't see it, does turn her gaze back around to Jason. You'll hear her finally settle down once Aiden's audibly thumping off. She just kind of folds lightly down. Mild accompanying jingle. Did you have any other questions? Anything I can answer for you?
And he kind of just sighs.
I think I can try to answer anyways.
I am reasonably certain, Raya, that asking you why everyone is so much of an asshole won't really get me very far.
Oh, if only he could
Besides,
see the smirk.
I'm pretty sure I already know the answer.
The nation is not kind. Many things, but not kind.
That was my guess.
A good one, then.
But I suppose kind is not necessarily conducive to survival. But you were telling me about Great White Mouse?
There we go. Okay, sorry. So, to restate myself, because that's the last thing I know of that needed saying, is we are Gaia's teeth and claws, not her heart.
Who has that title?
It's a very good question. Have the Den parents told you about the other changing breeds?
They've mentioned Fira, which, from the context, I would guess is the same.
It's a faint nod. I don't know much about them myself. They are a difficult area of study.
Well, if they're as secretive as we are, that would make sense.
A faint nod. They are. The Fianna, as far as I know, we are perhaps most familiar with the Ravens. Believe in them. In my case, I know little. I am sure one among them was meant to be her heart. I assume if they've told you of the Fira, you're aware of the War of Rage as well.
No one's mentioned that yet.
Mm.
Or not by that name.
Well, I will be polite enough to leave specifics to those who know better. There have been many times that the nation, as we have tried to do our duty to Gaia as her tooth and claw, have made mistakes. There's the argument of the Impergium, and there is the War of Rage, wherein we battled and killed a number of Fira, wiping some entirely from Gaia's face. If you ever should encounter, she kind of ponders for a moment, a skull pig. I believe they are one of her fallen children, much as the Black Spiral Dancers are to us. Except that in their case, it was all of them. But as I understand it, if not in detail, the Fira all had their place. They all had their purpose under Gaia. And sometimes we just did not see it. We are ever vigilant against the worm, and sometimes too much so, I suppose. There are many things that look like the worm that are not, and not all that is wormish is worm-tainted. To kill without reason is a wormish trait. It is of the worm. But not all who kill will be tainted by the worm. It's an important thing to remember. And it has in fact been much of the difficulty in finding this skin dancer, or this would-be skin dancer. I imagine that the rite itself will render the skin dancer worm-tainted. Until then, they are just a murderer.
I don't even know what a skin dancer is. Everybody talks about things, a word here, a phrase here, and then no one explains anything.
You can remember your questions. I'll do my best to answer them. And answer. There is an unholy rite that can be done, usually found out by kinfolk. After all, they are closest to us and the most able to bear our presence. How Talatahine died was us investigating this skin dancer and stumbling across their teacher. A skin dancer, as I said, usually kin, is one who learns a rite very much of the worm. And by killing and skinning a number of Guru, and then performing this rite to sew them together into a full hide, is able to take that into themselves and become Guru.
Does it only work for Guru?
Tilts her head thoughtfully.
Hang on a second. I apparently
That is just fine. You do your thing. I would sing the intermission song, but I don't know it by heart. Travesty that it is.
better than company. I love mail.
My new yoga pants have arrived.
But yeah, that question sits her back a bit, and you might hear, like, via the shift in breath, kind of the hum of thought. That's a good question. And I have not had the opportunity to seek an answer to it myself. But very possibly it could apply to others. I don't know.
If it's an unholy rite, I don't suppose there's a lot of people you can ask questions about it.
Even skin dancers are not well known, nor are their rites to us. It is possible. But as much as we don't know about the other changing breeds, about the other Fira, there is no telling if their kin have ever stooped to such a thing. But yes.
And I don't suppose we really have ambassadors to ask.
There's a kind of noise before she confesses simply, I am familiar with at least one of the Bastet. Not perhaps friendly, but familiar. The name is Obsidian Claw.
I'm guessing from the name they're a feline?
Looks very much like a jaguar.
Huh.
Obsidian Claw is on the council too. The Queen of Cats, a somewhat renowned spirit. But, as I've said, perhaps not friendly. There's too much of a history between our people. But familiar, and we have at least something of an understanding. I have taken the time to prove my good intentions.
That probably helps.
It does. More than you'd think. It is very hard for most of the Fira, I imagine, to trust us after what we've done. It is always proving. Actions speak louder than words.
He nods.
I wish I could tell you more about the Fira, but I simply don't know but so much myself. Until I came here, I hadn't truly even left my home sept. My experiences are limited.
They're still wider than mine.
You can probably hear the smile in her tone. And this is why I offer. I'll answer all that I can, within reason.
I don't really know where to start.
I imagine there's much to ask. But on the subject of your teacher, at the very least, he may not like it, but perhaps suggest that as much as he may not like humans, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think much of them myself. They are not kin. They are not family. They are simply humans. But just as I would judge no spirit for doing what comes naturally to it, I don't judge a human for being a human. And I respect that they must do as they must do. Even if he wants to compare them to prey, even prey earn a certain amount of respect. We don't kill for fun. And people are not for eating.
He doesn't believe they are prey. He appears to believe the entire species is of the worm and deserves to die.
To adopt kind of a thoughtful expression for all that, again, he really can't see it.
I suspect that this will remain a bone of contention. Regardless of what other things we may agree on.
Probably so. Most have their reasons.
I understand that.
And she'll continue to, again, not that it helps to say so, continues to look relatively thoughtful. You might inquire, should you desire to, the early lives of lupus, the time after or before their first change. It normally has a good bit to do with how they feel about humankind. It offers some insight from outside your species. It's hard to appreciate a lupus mind, particularly human-born, but more than understanding how to use the body of a wolf, it's important to understand the mind. We have to remain balanced between all that we are.
I'm trying.
It's a hard balance to find and a harder one to maintain. Don't be discouraged.
Nah. I'm sure there's a learning curve.
There is. And I'm sure he will appreciate if time is taken to discover the lupus mind. I find, in my case, I feel it the best when doing very little. Sitting in a field surrounded by grass, feeling the wind, smelling it. Very easy to appreciate the simplicity of it.
There are definitely moments that it is easier to appreciate being a wolf than it is to appreciate being human. Especially now.
Faint nod again. Once again, punctuated by the jingling.
But that doesn't mean that I get to simply give up the inconvenient part.
No.
Or avoid things because they're uncomfortable.
I'm afraid not. But it is good, I find, to have that balance. There's no pretending that the reality that we know with a higher mind exists, but sometimes it is nice to be able to step away from it. And there'll be a faintly playful tone as Shia adds, without the aid of drink at every time.
Yes, well. Yes. And he's got a kind of dry expression on his face.
It gets easier with time. And once you've found a balance between wolf and man, a balance between body and spirit, it gets much easier. Finding a totem that resonates with you and joining their tribe will help and give you the support of your tribe.
We'll see.
And when the time comes that you are interested, but knowing you, perhaps want to know more and understand better, I would be happy to summon the brood of whatever totem you see the appeal in, and to translate for you so that you can ask and understand and know what you're getting into.
I appreciate that, Raya.
In a part, it is selfish. I enjoy my work. And more importantly, when the right decision is made the first time, there's less cleanup to be done. I worry for your brother, but you seem very sensible.
I've been through some stuff that I think maybe he hasn't.
Very possible. Probable even.
Somebody said I was old for this, so maybe it's just time.
And she kind of thoughtfully looks him up and down. Again, not that he can see, but she'll finally kind of give a shrug. Again, punctuated with either rasping or chiming. You might get good at this. You are a bit older than most first changes. Most change younger when hormones rage. But I wouldn't say it is a bad thing to have had more experience and to have a better sense of self, particularly when your sense of self is shaken so dramatically. I understand it's very tumultuous for most Hamid and Lupus born. Blah, 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 blah.
There's definitely still a part of me that's sitting outside all of this, shaking its head and telling me that I'm crazy. It's getting quieter, but it's there. Because this is all of it crazy.
And if you would like to roll a peony, though I should actually put us in a roller somewhere first, potentially. Details. Yeah.
What am I rolling?
I am. You know what? He didn't even. Oh, he did. There we go. You are welcome to roll a peony because you may not be able to see, but you can still hear, and tone still is a good bit of understanding.
Sorry, perception of what?
Perception, empathy.
Oh. Yes, apparently.
Oh, Jesus. God, what exactly did he say a moment ago? Because I need to actually make sure I say something. Fuck.
I have no idea. I'm so tired.
How dare you need sleep ever?
I know, right?
Essentially what I was going for is that her tone was kind of mock dismissive, mock cheerful, like kind of writing something off, as she was going to comment along the lines of, it may seem mad, but it's very real, and it's the only life I have known. I have no comparison.
If it helps. Having another one for comparison. Just means that you realize everything is crazy. Just in different ways.
I'll take your word for it.
And in a lot of ways, everything is the same.
Really? How so?
He shrugs. Humans are just as willing to cast people off for things that they cannot help. That are simply a matter of how they were born and who they are. They are just as capable of being vicious, vengeful, and everything else that the Garu are.
Is that so?
Yes.
At the risk of being crude by saying so, I'd always imagined humankind was shallow of emotion, only able to feel but so deeply, and only able to feel but so much.
Not from what I've seen.
Oh, you have lived it. I have not. In this case, you would be the authority.
Even the rage, although it may not be the same, exists in some people. I've seen it. And I have seen and felt better things as well.
What a guilty confession, but humans are perhaps the ones I understand the least. I understand the kin. Humans are strange.
I won't even deny that. But at least you accept that there are things you do not know.
We cannot learn if we believe there is nothing to learn.
Yep. Yep.
Be those who don't understand as much. But I would give you my phone number, but I'm not sure how, and I don't think you can very well enter it as you are now.
It would be difficult. I'm not used to the new phone. Perhaps tomorrow.
Just offer a faint nod. Should you happen across Great White Mouse again, just remember, she loves and cares for us and is a mother to us, spiritually so. She grants us all manner of blessing. Look on her kindly. And remember, as much as she gives, never, ever, ever provide threat or harm to her material children. Rats, mice, even squirrels. Rodents are untouchable.
He looks a little surprised at that, but nods.
All spirits give and take. There is always a price. Great White Mouse tends us lovingly. She looks over us. She makes it easier for us to sneak. And she makes our bites land with greater accuracy. But in exchange, we spare her physical children. Always.
I will remember that.
She nods firmly. In fact, it's a very decisive jingle. It is critically important to enrage the totem of a sept, has in the past and can again mean that the totem rescinds their favor, which puts the cairn at higher risk. And while I know there's only so much chance you've had to learn how the litany reflects in the people,
That gets me executed.
it is the only thing that no tribe argues.
At this point, to be honest, although I am still a little fuzzy on a lot of things, I am reasonably certain that I am just safest and wisest being very polite to everything.
Wise indeed.
Wait, aren't rabbits rodents?
They are, she kind of gives her hand a little wave, somewhat different. The rabbits are fine.
Oh,
There
good.
have been rabbits and there have been lupus-eating rabbits as long as I've been on this set. And rabbit is a part of my totem's brood, and they understand that this is part of the cycle. So long as you kill them to eat them, and perhaps I will teach you the prayer for the prey, so that you can offer proper respects and send their spirits back.
Chloe Raya mentioned a rite.
Yes. The prayer for the prey thanks it for its offering, and it aids the spirit in cycling more quickly. more smoothly, without any anger or fear.
If she approves, I would be honored to learn from you.
Of course. Come around tomorrow. I'll begin showing you some of the minor rites. Simple things that are matter of course. They're the easiest to learn.
He nods and then gives her a kind of lopsided, not quite smile. In the meantime, however, I have a lot to think about and a bit of a headache. Yes, right.
And she'll go ahead and again, it's a smooth and fairly quiet motion. She tends to be barefoot, for all that it is absurdly cold. But she goes ahead and gets herself up, and he'll feel a very gentle hand. And actually, before he does, I should be consistent. She will actually ask, and he'll be able to tell that she has kind of stooped down over him. Do you mind if I touch you?
Go for it.
And yeah, he'll just feel a gentle hand on his arm to kind of help guide him to his feet. And from that point, just a gentle hand on his elbow for steering purposes.
Yay! Not running into trees.
Yay! Trees are nice and all, but they hurt.
They are so rude.
It jumped
All of them a personal space.
That tree jumped right in front of me.
Yep.
Yeah. She'll just gingerly steer him. She's not gonna overly baby him. She's not gonna be that absurd. But yeah, she'll guide him back and help him find a place to settle. And then we'll take her leave.
And Jason will settle down, probably with his back against a tree, and think for a while, within view of either the den mother or one of the other cubs, so that they can make sure that he doesn't, go fall into the lake.
Good plan. Good plan. Well, with that,
Yep.
I think we'll say thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. And we'll see you next time on the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.